acclimated or reacclimated. So do you think the crazy will die down the further we get from lockdowns, from COVID, from hopefully monkeypox, or is this the new norm?
I agree with your first point.
Okay.
I think that if you've ever seen someone transform in life, then you recognize that change is real if a person wants it. And usually every other scenario doesn't work out. But if a person wants change and they feel like they want change, then change will happen. I feel that most of us want change. I feel like there is a more of us that do want change that don't want change. Um, and so coming back into reality world again, what is it, socialization? After a while, I believe could temper things down, right? I mean, to put it simply, once you get a hug, some people just need a hug. And then they probably, they wouldn't do a lot of bad things. Some people are just bad at that point in their life, and that's where they are, and that's where I'm going to do bad, and that's where, okay, all right, you bad person, okay. But, I feel like, again, I'm welcome everything to it, that it is just this it is not just this bubble that we're under of the last 2-3 years. I mean, I really feel like the bubble has been building. We've pushed ourselves into our own corners slowly, by choice,
So
by
I'm gonna stop you there because that's the point I'm getting to.
okay,
I think somewhere along the line, and I don't know when, I don't want to pinpoint it, not for this discussion anyway, but somewhere along the line, we pushed the crater to the top of America Mountain
mm,
and we peaked.
mm-hmm.
And now the crater is rolling downhill. And I don't think we're going to level off. I don't think we're going to get, oh, we've been away from COVID and lockdowns and whatever. For now, it's going to normalize. I think as soon as we got to a point where people stopped being able to agree on facts and people stopped being able to agree that science is science and religion is separate, um, that's going to be more divisive than the things that are going to bring us together. And I think what we're seeing is now through a number of things, I'm not just blaming the former guy, through a number of things,
Right.
people have planted their flag and said, this is what I believe, this is where I stand. And not just this is what I believe, this is where I stand. You're all trying to take that from me. And it's not just, again, if you, I don't care what news channel you watch, everyone is pushing fear based news. This is going to
Fear
happen
sells.
unless you, this is going to happen unless you, this is going to happen if you don't.
Well, fear sells, and I think that you're right that it's not going to normalize anymore. I think 2.5 years to build up their hate issues and sit around and point the finger at everybody and get more and more upset. Now that they're freer and out and about,
Mm-hmm.
uh, with the tension
Tension. Thank you
that
very
has
much. Thank
always
you.
been in the country now at a boil, it's boiled over, and it's not going to stop because we still can't agree on how to turn the stove off to get us off the heat. So as long as we have indecision where the few are still controlling the narrative, and I'm gonna go out and do the Republicans controlling that narrative
Gee, I'm gonna
with
stop you real quick and just talk about the tension, because
yeah,
that's what I feel is real. Like, you measuring tension
well yeah,
means that you're measuring things that you are collectively presuming are combined, right? Is that a
yeah.
fair statement? Okay. I presume, since about Duder wants to say this for another show. When did Obama get elected?
Oh, wait.
I presume right around '06. is when more flags were planted in the early stages of this. I believe that maybe 6 more flags were planted. That it was all of a sudden there was 12 different flags in that era. And today, I agree with dude that people are standing behind those flags and creating a narrative that is their own, whether that be which party you want to blame it on, which I'll blame it on everybody at the moment. I know I have maybe some bias, but I know who I blame it on is everybody at the moment because we all need to get it done. But you know, that's the main reason that I believe some of the crazies here, and I'm hopeful that it'll wear off. I really, you know, like boldness is a word that I want to use carefully because just the other day I had some guy pull up to me in the side of my window and stare me down. 100%. You know what this look means, okay? Right. There's no in between on these looks, okay? And time in the day to pick fights. It's today's not. It's not. But you got to remember though, the other guy is saying that too, right now, right? The other guy, like
I think there's a healthy portion who are ready to fuck around and find out.
No. But the other guy. Well, let me rephrase. The other guy should be saying that. Is my point. This is my. You're right. The other guy should be saying, no, today's not the day to fight. And a smart, angry individual could recognize when tanks are rolling, put your fist down. You know? And that's kind of the situation we're in where the tensions are really kind of stupid high, right? And it's just not the time or place to be engaging in those kinds of activities today. Today's not the day. Now there's a day to fight. You know, if I was Ukrainian, today would be a day to fight. You know, yesterday and the last 100 days, all days to fight if you're Ukrainian. But I don't know. Today is not the day, and I believe now is not the time. But again, it all goes away. I'm hoping that it's not like you said. It's not going away. It is our new kind of norm. It is our new dysfunction to the family. I understand that's this cousin's here. He's not going anywhere. Okay, but I hope the talk is out there about managing it. And how do you manage Pandora?
You can't manage,
and it just doesn't. I don't know where they're going to go. But let me ask you this: one of the guys that got shot over the weekend in Philadelphia was a patron of a restaurant who poked his head outside to see what the commotion was.
Jeez.
Yep.
And he looked down afterwards at his leg that had started to bleed afterwards. He thought, what was that? Just walked outside of the restaurant. Very
something bit me.
Something bit, right. And very public. We look at Philadelphia. It's very public area. I mean,
it's very touristy.
Very touristy.
And this was an area heavily fortified with police, is my understanding.
Right. Yep.
Yes,
it was.
Now,
lots of good guys with guns.
Now,
yep.
Now,
and we saw how well that worked in Uvalde.
Mm-hmm. I just want perspective on. I just want to give perspective. How is that different from a kid playing in his yard when a drive?
It's not.
Okay. I just wanted to throw a little bit of 90s perspective. I know dude's got me on the side link because I know there's a lot of intricacies that you could throw in between those two to find some difference.
I don't want to get caught in semantics.
I know
the kid's not sticking his head out. What's
exactly.
Exactly.
Some of them do.
But I understand your point.
You understand my point. My point is the innocent bystander. And in a very short to restaurant patrons,
churchgoers.
I think churchgoers,
grocery stores,
the regular stuff in life,
concerts.
I go back to the neighborhood when you were in your house. Okay, you didn't even leave anywhere. The neighborhood kid that got shot by a drive-by shooting.
Right.
I was always very aware of these things and that they happened, and I was very, I knew that they happened, right? And today, granted, we're talking about things that are happening in society places, like you mentioned, church, grocery store, places that we're all going. Which one's more tragic? You want to say none, right? There's none more tragic. They're all tragic.
Yeah, they're all bad.
We're paying attention to it today. Okay, I'm about that. Like, let's pay attention to it. But I feel like everybody gets to this point in the conversation and it goes quiet. What do we do?
I mean,
right now is we got to keep the. I think this school shooting has really irritated people because it happened on the heels of that mass shooting in Buffalo,
Right.
with the black folks,
and you see the dysfunction of the
Yeah.
quote unquote good guys with the gun.
right, and because old boy, and then left the manifesto.
Which one was
And
this?
then
This
we had
grocery store?
then we
Uvalde.
had the kids get shot up, and then about 2 hours later we got the church shooting, and then the following weekend we had more shootings. I think people aren't able to recover as quick because we're having so many back-to-back shootings.
I mean, but I only push back to be the devil's advocate to say that there's no foreign back-to-back shootings. This is not a new thing. Back-to-back shootings.
It's the people involved that are changed.
Well,
it
that's
was
very
different
true.
when it was different when it was just minorities shooting minorities.
Right.
They don't care about that one. That's different. That happens in poor, uneducated minority neighborhoods is what they feel. Them reporting that there was another shooting in Nickerson Gardens, another gang shooting over here, that's no big deal. But because it's taken into suburbia now again, it's when they had that shooting 2 weeks before Christmas under Obama with the guy who shot up the preschool and the kindergarten class, that stirred up things, but it didn't stir people up enough to stop voting Republican who support the NRA.
Duder, what do you think? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, it's first and foremost comparing tragedies is not a great idea. It
Right.
sucks anytime, even if it's the drive-by shooting in the bad, quote unquote, bad neighborhood.
Yeah, but that's how they look at it.
No, I understand your point, G. That is how they
gets
look at
reported
it. Like
so much that they don't really they don't see it as a bad
they
thing.
think this is gang violence. These are
Right.
people choosing this lifestyle.
Right.
But
And the
they're
people who live
discounting
in that
the number
neighborhood,
of
they
people
just
who
live in that neighborhood.
Right. They're discounting the number of people who live in that neighborhood
Exactly.
who are not involved in the gang life
Yep.
and who, frankly, don't have the means to move out of that neighborhood.
Yep.
And so they're
But they
stuck
chose
in
that
a
life, right? They
literal
choose
war
to
zone.
stay there. They choose to live there. They want to
that's
live
what
there.
Well, the
that's how they
outside,
look
the
at it.
outside looks at it like it's a choice.
Right.
But in reality, these people, for the most part, don't have the means to leave. There's not a lot of great jobs in those kind of neighborhoods
Yep.
that are going to pay you what you need to move out of that neighborhood. And you're not going to commute from a nice neighborhood to the gang neighborhood to go to work. It wouldn't make sense. So there's a lot of innocent bystanders that got overlooked for, all of our lifetime,
Right.
probably before that. And I get your point that the amount of shootings we have now probably isn't any more than what was going on in LA in the late 80s, early 90s. But to G's point, it's different now. Now it's Eminem, right? Now it's in the suburbs. Now it's white kids. Now it's people who their parents never thought they would have to deal with this. But I think because of that, a lot of these people still think, not my kid. It's not going to happen to me. And you look at all the progress we've made in this life, in America as a country, all the progress has been made when people realized, oh, me too. Not to steal the movement, but it can happen to me also. I can have a gay son.
Right.
I can have a black. Well, if my coworker is undocumented and he's cool, maybe some of these other undocumented immigrants aren't rapists and murderers. but throughout the history of America, we've not made any progress until the people who make the decisions have had it personally affect them.
Yep, that's what it is. It has to
Deuter,
personally affect them in order for a change. And I think now it is personally affecting a lot of them. And I like the fact that they did humanize the Uvalde school shooting, where they show the guy making the caskets for the kids as superheroes or their favorite superheroes. I love that they show so people can relate to Scout.
right.
And how the Girl Scouts came out and said, okay, we're going to promote her to here because this is what she was working on. And it's making people relatable. And it's sad that it has to get that way, but because we're in America, we're so jaded. We are
But
so
to that point,
short-minded.
G, we saw all of this. We saw the coffins. We saw the shootings that happened right after Uvalde. We saw Beto get in the face of Abbott and Cruz and
Yeah,
all those guys. To that point, they just took a poll, and 44% of Republicans think mass shootings are just something we're going to have to live with.
exactly.
There's
And
nothing that can
that
be
was the
done.
other thing that, and people are still voting Republican because I don't want to go that it's political, but it is. And when you're looking at the numbers and you're going, how can you still support this party when they're saying that they're this and you know that they're not? We are family, we are for this, we are for this, or